Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Gay. I'm a local orthopedic surgeon with Houston Clinic Orthopedics, and we'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our new office facility to take a look at it. It's a larger space with physical therapy, and we're just excited to have it, and we'd love for people to come out and visit us.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin. Welcome everybody to another edition of Discover Dublin. As we travel around the city of Dublin, talking to different employees of the city, I've come across another firefighter, which you've heard me talking to him the last few weeks. I've got Ken Elerson with me today, and you've worked for the city for how long?
Since 1996 altogether.
Okay, tell us how you started with the city.
I started out with the sanitation department. I worked there for 3 years. And then when this opening came available, I transferred over here.
Wow, that's really cool. I've not heard of nobody working in a different department. You know, I'm sure there are other people. I've just not run across them. Well, good. So when you was with the sanitation department, was it a dream of yours to be a firefighter, or it come open and you said, hey, I think I'll try that?
It came open and I said, oh, I'll give that a try. And it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. So what do you... Break it down for me on a personal level. How does it feel being a first responder and being the one when people like me is running from the building? you're meeting us as you're running in the building.
A lot of it comes down as a adrenaline rush to a lot of, while you're actually doing it, while you're actually putting out the fire and all that and going to the call. So a lot of adrenaline, and then the work kicks in afterwards. The real work kicks in after the fire, the cleaning up, the overhaul, the putting the trucks back in service, cleaning the hoses and things like that. That's when the real work kicks in.
Well, you know, I come by, not only here, but over by the mall, and I'll see certain days it seems like they got all the trucks out and they're making sure they're washed good. Certain day I'll come by and I'll see them checking the lights and the siren and, you know, different things. So you have, like, when I was growing up, Mom and Daddy had a list of chores on the refrigerator. Is that kind of like y'all do?
Kind of. We, on Mondays is our cleanup day, whether the trucks are dirty or not. We pull everything out, we wash them, we check all the compartments, we clean the station inside and out, and the rest of the week as needed. If the truck gets dirty, we wash it. If we don't wait till Monday.
I come to the fire stations quite often, and I know there's quite a bit of downtime. I mean, by when something is not, you're not on a call. But, you know, it's like you could be cleaning a truck, watching television, taking a nap, whatever you're doing. But, buddy, when that signal, that bell, that phone rings, y'all just jump into action.
Yes, sir. You could be sound asleep at 3 a.m. and be in your gear going down the road at 3:05.
Yeah. And that comes from training, don't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's all training. How much training do y'all do?
We have a certain number we were supposed to get from the state for standards of practice, and then we actually have some more that we do for ISO training to try to keep the ISO levels down and keep that keep the insurance rates as low as possible for the citizens.
What's the most fun about what you do?
Probably the unpredictability, the fact that I don't know what I'm going to be doing 1 minute from the next. It's not like standing there putting tab A into slot B. I don't get bored. I don't know from 1 minute to the next what's going to happen.
I'm going to ask this in the form of a question, but when I meet most firefighters, I don't think they'd be happy. You'd be happy putting bolt A and screw B or whatever it might be. You do, like you said, you love and you thrive on that unpredictability, don't you?
Yes, sir. And like I said before, the adrenaline rush. We get, the heart rate pops up when that tones drop. Sometimes before you even know what the call is.
What's one of the biggest mistakes? Let's talk to people watching us right now, but what's one of if somebody wakes up, smoke alarm going off, house is on fire, what's one of the biggest mistakes we make as citizens?
Hesitating. Don't hesitate, get out right then. Get your family, wake everybody up if they're asleep, get out, don't try to get back for any belongings, any pets, anything like that. Once you've gotten out, get out, and you can call 911 from outside. Don't even do it while you're inside. Just until we know for a fact everything's good, go out and stay out.
Yeah, that unknown, those unknowns is what's scary. Like I'm sure you saw it, but I saw in the news this past weekend about the Americans that were in the Bahamas that died. They don't know how. A couple of the people a little older than I am, they were like 65 years old, and they still don't know. Like let's just say it's carbon monoxide. I'm not saying that. I'm using this as an example, but those are one of them. We can't see it.
Right. Now that's definitely when you hear, if you've got a carbon monoxide alarm, and if you have anything gas in your home, you should have a carbon monoxide alarm. When that goes off, and that definitely do not hesitate. Get outside, call us. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, we get there and it's a false alarm, that's good news. I think people sometimes, they're afraid of being embarrassed. I called everybody out here and it's nothing. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
We're happy that it's nothing.
Yeah, and you'd rather do that than the opposite.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's what y'all thrive on, because you love, obviously you're doing this, you love serving the public.
Yes, sir.
Okay, carbon monoxide, but people don't realize, I've talked about this a few times, but you're inhaling that smoke. How long does it take? Let's say I ran back in the house. I said, oh no, I got a Tiger Woods autograph picture in there, or Michael Jordan or whatever. I want to get out. First of all, that's a mistake.
Exactly.
But how long does it take? Like if I go in, how many, I'm going to say gulps or breaths, does it take of that smoke to make me unconscious?
That probably varies, but it's going to be seconds to minutes. You don't have very long at all, because once that smoke inhalation hits you and you become unconscious, or you start to become disoriented and you can't find your way back out, even out of a structure that you lived in all your life or for years.
Yeah, and what we're inhaling, from the insulation to sheetrock to a number of things.
The furniture and there's all sorts of plastics.
Yeah, it's in the older homes, like my grandparents grew up in, that I call it fat lighter, and buddy, it burns.
It burns.
And it burns hot. So don't hesitate. Get out, stay out. Don't get out there and say, I got to get my favorite tea glass or whatever. Don't go back in and get that, because that's those things, you can actually die.
Exactly.
You can actually die.
And stay calm. When you call 911, stay calm. Give them as much detailed, complete information as you can, because at that particular moment, you're the most important person. Because every bit of information that 911 has, they get from the caller.
And what you just asked for, you're dead on, but that's difficult.
It is.
Because if my
Very
home
difficult.
is burning, I can't even imagine, first of all. I hope and pray that I don't, you don't, anybody watching right now, we just pray that you never go through this, but it's a fact of life.
Yes, sir.
Houses catch on fire.
And it's terrible and it's scary, but the main thing is to, as calm as you possibly can. The dispatcher is going to ask a lot of questions, and I think that gets people a little stressed out. I'm in a hurry, I don't have time for all these questions. Well, they need to know exactly who's the closest unit, who's the closest, even ambulance unit, PD, all of us, to get there to help as quick as possible.
Yeah, without the proper information, y'all are making plans. I know even as you're driving there, because if I call you and say, oh, please hurry, my house is on fire and my grandma's in the room in the back of the house, I can't get her out. Well, y'all could already be talking in the truck. Okay, grandma's in the room in the back of the house. You already got the proper equipment. You don't have to run to the house, run back to the truck, get it.
Right.
And I'm sure y'all are planning en route, aren't you?
Yes, sir, we are. And usually the first unit on scene will give the size up, tell us how much fire we got, where the hydrant is, things of that nature. And as we're coming in, we know what to do at that point.
What's the scariest fire? I don't want to know the address or nothing like that, but what's one of the scariest, most fearful fires you've been involved in?
Probably several years ago, an old store, it used to be a restaurant before that, caught on fire. And we barely got out of that one before some of the roof and ceiling collapse started coming down. One of our guys actually dove through a plate glass window, air pack first.
Oh. Yeah, he knew. He knew how serious it was.
It was getting bad in there.
Yeah, and the equipment y'all have now, I think back, I talked to Chief Cutler a couple of weeks ago, but we were talking about back in the day of Red Mobley and Robert Drew and people like that. You know, they had a pair of boots and some gloves and a crowbar, and they were running in buildings with no mask, no oxygen. It was all for the love of helping people. That's all I know.
And the equipment they had then is, to us, is pretty much unimaginable. We can't even fathom it in our heads.
No.
Going in with just that.
No, not at all.
The way we've been trained and equipped since I've been here.
We don't want to go back that way, but we thank God, and I know this city does, for people like them, and many more. Those names come to mind, but that back in that day, whether they're volunteer firemen, and that's people I respect there, because they're not getting paid, and they're just like y'all. They'll jump up at 2 o'clock in the morning and take off and they're rural. And you know how big Lawrence County is.
Oh, yes, sir.
There's a lot of roads to travel, aren't there?
Yes, sir. And we're very lucky to have as many good volunteers as we have. You know, they show up to just about everything that they're called to, and we've got a lot of really good guys. Been doing it probably longer than I have, and I'm a paid firefighter.
Yeah, we're very thankful. There's no doubt. We're going to take a break, y'all. Y'all stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Spring is sprung here at Dublin Chevy Nissan in Dublin, Georgia. Our inventory is blooming with new Pathfinders, Frontiers, Yukons, and Tahoes. And with spring break coming up, there's never a better time to come into our award-winning service department for a checkup. And remember, Doug sells service well. With that spring trip coming up, there's never a better time to find a new or pre-owned SUV. If you see an HD or a Tahoe on our lot or online, don't wait or you'll miss out. Hurry in to Dublin Chevy Nissan.
The city of Dublin, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Your city to live, work, and play. Whether you're looking for your first home or your dream home, you can always depend on XL Realty Group and Keller Williams Realty Middle Georgia. Our agents are committed to providing you with the highest quality client and customer service. Call one of our agents today. Tiffany Green, Sophia Jordan, Jo Beth Bailey Rozier, Phil Dudley Jr., Jarvis Green, Tara Williams, Phyllis Rogers, or Diane Robertson. When making this type of investment that buying a home requires, you need to call the experts at XL Realty Group and Keller Williams Realty Middle Georgia. Each office is independently owned and operated. Welcome back, everybody. I have with me Ken Elerson, and we're talking about fires, how to prevent fires, what to do in case of a fire. But let me ask you, even in your home, do you have an exit plan? I want to talk about things like that people need to keep in mind. But just like y'all training, you know ahead of time what you're going to do, and when it happens, the training just kicks in. Yes. So we as citizens in our own home, we should do the same thing, shouldn't we?
Yes, sir. Especially if you have small children or young kids in your house, you want to have what they call Edith, exit drills in the house. It's a little acronym. And you can practice and go over it with your kids and your family, how you're going to do. Have more than one way out in your mind. If one way's blocked with fire, what's your next option? And things like that. Make sure your windows can be opened by even the weakest member of your family if possible, because that's sometimes maybe your only escape route.
Yeah, and especially older home. My home was built in the 70s. A lot of times that you're going to have a window too that hard to open. You know, we need to take care of those things ahead of time, because, you know, it's like, oh, it's never going to happen to me. That's what we think. Never going to be in a wreck. Never going to have a fire, because we don't see those things. And then all of a sudden, bam, here they are. But so tell me what you do if the alarm went off. First of all, how are y'all notified? Like right now, if there was a fire, how would we know it in here?
Usually you would hear the dispatcher come over the radio and they'll say, radio's going to be 10-6 on Dublin Fire. That means they're going to be busy on the Dublin Fire frequency. And then you'll hear a little series of tones, and then a loud buzzer will go off. Okay. But once we hear those words or whatever, we just go ahead and perk up and start, paying attention to what's going to be.
And what do you do then? What's your particular job?
Mine is to, well, a lot of it depends on the truck you're on, and like at my level, I'm either going to catch the hydrant when we come in, or I'm going to come off and grab a nozzle or back up on the hose.
Okay. And when the fire's over, well, let me ask this before I ask you that. What's the longest you've ever been out on a call? Because I know a lot of times you put the fire out and y'all stay there because you're concerned of, what do you call it, flare-ups or?
Rekindle.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what's some of the longest you've been out on?
We've been out for a couple of hours on some of them, especially if it's been a little stubborn. If it got up into the attic, that's where a lot of the rekindles will pop back up at. So we have to go up and inspect the attic really good. And a lot of times we'll wet everything down, remove some of the insulation, and then we'll just back up and wait and go back up there and check again, or stay up there and keep an eye on everything. If it starts to get really smoke, a lot of times there'll be what's called residual smoke. So we have to take the time to determine if it's residual smoke or if it's still continuing to smoke and smolder.
So if I called in a fire to a home and you told us to get out, don't hesitate, we heard that part. But now I see y'all coming down the street. What should I do to make sure I don't think we should run to the truck.
No, sir.
Because you're in these big old trucks and you could get hit or whatever. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm getting to a point is when I see you coming down the street, what moves should we, Mr. Joe Citizen, do?
Step aside and give room for the trucks to come in to get to where they need to be. If there's information that you didn't give the dispatcher, or there's new information since you talked to the dispatcher, pass that on to the officer when he shows up. Like if you thought everybody was out, but there's one person you realize is not accounted for, immediately let us know all that, and or where you last saw them, and we'll try to conduct the search from there.
Right.
But the main thing is stay a safe distance of the trucks. We don't want to have a second
That's right.
emergency.
Well, these some big old trucks y'all see behind us. You're just seeing the front end of it here, but y'all know a fire truck. They're big, and I look at the ladder truck over at over by the mall, and that thing's humongous. And how far up does that ladder go?
I think it's 109 feet or 103 feet, something like that.
We're blessed to have that. We are, because you just don't know. And we're fortunate, y'all. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but we're hoping quite shortly. The land's been acquired. We're hoping we're going to have another fire department in the city of Dublin, which will help all of us.
Yes,
help
sir.
all of us. You won't have to travel as far. But so, how many men on one shift, like the shift you're working now?
Today, this shift, we got 11 people. We got we have 6 over here and 5 at Station 2 by the mall.
Okay. So do y'all back each other up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it don't really matter. There's a fire at Linda Vista, say, which is right next to where the other fire department is. They'll tell you immediately, you got a big 2-story home. They're probably going to need you, huh?
Yes, sir. Anytime we hear the word structure fire, all trucks roll.
Okay. Yeah. And you said earlier, you can always come back because we don't want you to. And we had a sheriff here years ago. He used to tell me on television, he'd tell the audience, he said, look, if you think there's somebody doing something at your house and you're scared, you call us. We'd
Exactly.
rather come out there and nothing wrong. And you worded it great a while ago, but we should not. And we all kind of like that. We don't want to be embarrassed. That's not a time to worry about being embarrassed.
No, sir, it isn't.
Because y'all not going to put any shame on them.
We get to false alarms a lot of times, and they'll be like, "Oh my, I'm so sorry." No, don't be.
Yeah.
This is what we're here for.
Yeah. What a great feeling it is to know that, and you know this, when you was working in the sanitation department, you wasn't even a fireman. What a blessing it is to have the fire departments we have, not only in the city, but East Dublin, the county. All of y'all work good together. There's not they may be some aggravating each other and some good camaraderie.
Yes, sir.
But when
We
it
rib
comes
each other.
down, yeah, that's right. And that's what we like to do. But when it comes down to there's a fire at a structure, all hands on deck, aren't
Yes,
they?
sir. It's like you see on TV and movies a lot of times, this department and that department, fire department, police department, or EMS and police department, they don't get along. And but here it may be like that in some cities. I've never experienced it, but here is everybody works together. You got really good interagency cooperation, and everybody pretty much knows each other. And not only cooperating, but friendships, you know.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that's what we're here for. I told some ladies at lunch a while ago, they were wanting to help me do something, and I said, look, I need all the help I can get. And anybody that's honest with themselves, we encourage others to help us.
Yes, sir.
And it's the same thing. Let me ask you this. Y'all go out on a call in a neighborhood. So is it just the fire department or police dispatched?
It depends on the call, but if it's a structure fire or a wreck or anything like that, automatically police is dispatched. They come out, they'll block off the road for us so that people don't run over our charged hose lines and damage those, and keep people safe for one thing. And like power lines down, if it's a live power line, sometimes the police will also come out and block one into the road for us.
Okay.
Keep people away from that.
So before we close, is there anything, and I'll drag the question out so you can think just a second, but is there anything that I've not asked you or we talked about that you think the public needs to know, maybe could save their life or save their structure? Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that when you do think you have a fire in your home or any kind of emergency, it doesn't matter, even if it's a medical emergency or whatever, even if it doesn't involve us, if you think there's an emergency, don't wait until you're sure. Just go ahead and call 911. They'll get everybody to you that needs to get to you, and we'll figure it out from there. And if it turns out to be nothing, that's just good news.
Amen. Amen. Well, brother, I tell you, I love coming to any first responder, EMTs. I cut up with people in other counties. I said, if I'm in a wreck in another county that's surrounding Lawrence, I want you to drag me across the county line, because our EMTs, you know this.
Oh, yes, sir. I work with them.
They are incredible. Some of the best trained, I'll say, anywhere across the state. I mean, they are well trained, as you are, as our local law enforcement.
Yes, I work there part-time, so I get to know all those guys over there.
You can't say
really
nothing bad.
No.
We wouldn't say nothing bad anyway, because
No,
there's nothing bad to say. Obviously, we're not perfect. We know that. But we do, our first responders in this community work together. Our county commissioners and city councilmen all work together, because it just makes a better place to live, work, and play, don't it?
Yes, sir. And we've never not gotten necessary equipment. So that's one thing we have. And I don't know if that's everywhere, but in this area, if you make it clear that this is, you got to have this to help the community, we'll get it usually.
Well, that's great to end on. That's the community we live in.
Yes, sir.
There's no doubt. Well, thank you so much for what you do, your service to this community, and I know at times it can be difficult, but on behalf of all of us, I know you're sitting there now saying, thank God for people like this guy, you know. But we're glad to have Ken with us today, and we're so glad you tuned in to see us today on another edition of Discover Dublin. Thank you for joining us today, right here on TV 35.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Quality products and installation since 1985. That's 4 Seasons.
From humble beginnings with a desire to serve the Dudley community, Bank of Dudley has grown to 5 locations, serving Lawrence, Twiggs, and surrounding counties. Serving our community since 1905, the Bank of Dudley is looking forward to its 2nd century of community banking. Drop in today to any of our 5 locations: Jeffersonville, Dudley, East Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, and downtown Dublin. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
When you want convenience, you want Neighbors Express, where you'll always find friendly, courteous service every time you visit us. Fill up with pay at the pump. Take advantage of our bigger and better selection of beverages and tobacco products. Enjoy our popular crushed ice with your favorite fountain drink. And you can always enjoy a fresh hot breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So stop by and see us today, where it's always convenient and friendly. Neighbors Express, locations at I-16 at 441 and in Cedar Grove, where we provide farm fuel for all our customers. When you want convenience, you want Neighbors Express.